In just a few seconds, you are going to create your very first web application using C#. So let's not wait, let's dive in together. First things first, you need to install the .NET SDK on your computer. Don't worry, this is very straightforward. Just download it from the official website and click next, next, next like you would with any normal installation. I've already put the link in the video description for you. Once that's done, open Visual Studio Code because this is where all the magic is going to happen. We are going to create a brand new web project, which basically means we are telling .NET, hey, set up everything I need for a web application. After that, we will open a very important file called program.cs. Think of this file as the brain of your application. This is where your web app starts, runs, and listens for requests. This is also where we will write our code and bring our web application to life. Inside this file, you'll see some lines that create and build our web application, and then we define a simple route that listens when someone visits the main page of our website. When that happens, our app will respond with a friendly hello world message in a web format. Don't worry if this sounds a bit new right now. We'll break everything down step by step later. For now, just focus on understanding that this small piece of code is already a working web server. Once we run the project, .NET will start a local web server on your computer, and it will give you a web address that you can open in your browser. So let's go ahead and run it together. First, make sure you are inside your project folder, in the terminal, and then start the web server. When it's running, open your browser and go to the address that appears on the screen. And just like that, congratulations, you have created your very first web service with C#. Pretty cool, right? Let's keep going in the next step. Now let's take our first real step toward building something more like a real web application by creating a login page. Instead of just showing a simple hello world message, we are now returning a full piece of HTML, which is basically the language browsers understand to display web pages. What we are doing here is telling our application, when someone visits the main page, send back an actual web page that contains a form. Inside this form, we have two input fields, one for email and one for password, and a login button that the user can click. The important idea to understand is this. Your C# application is not just running in the background, it is actively generating and sending web content to the browser. Right now, this page is still very simple, but this is exactly how real websites work behind the scenes. So let's run our application and see what we get. When you open the provided web address in your browser, you should now see a proper login page instead of plain text. It looks basic, but this is a real working web interface that we created with C#. Now, I'm going to quickly type in an email and password and press the login button. And as expected, we get an error. But don't worry, this is completely normal, and actually a great learning moment. The reason we got this error is that when we click login, the form tries to send the data to a route called login, but we haven't created that route yet. In other words, our application doesn't know what to do with this request. So instead of fixing it later, let's immediately define that route together in the next step. Now we are going to make our login page actually do something by defining a post route called login. This is the endpoint that our form will send the email and password to when the user clicks the login button. Think of it like creating a door in our application that specifically listens for login requests. Inside this route, we are telling ASP.NET to take the email and password from the form that the user submitted and bring them into our C# code as variables we can work with. Then we simply check whether these values match a predefined email and password. If they do, our application responds with a message saying that the login was successful. If they don't match, it politely tells the user that the email or password is invalid. There is also a small technical detail here where we disable anti-forgery protection, which basically allows our simple form to submit data without additional security tokens for now. We'll talk about that properly later in the course. For the moment, just focus on the idea that we are now handling real user input inside our web application. So let's run this and see it in action. I'll go to the login page in the browser, type in an incorrect password first, and when I click login, our application correctly tells me that the credentials are invalid. Now I'll try again, this time with the correct email and password, and just like that, the server responds with a success message. This means our login logic is working exactly as expected. Great job so far, but we're not stopping here. Let's take this example one step further and make it even more realistic. Before we continue, let's briefly talk about what a redirect actually means in a web application. A redirect is simply a way for the server to tell the browser, hey, don't stay on this page, go to this other page instead. It's like when you enter a building and someone guides you to a different room rather than letting you stand at the door. In our login logic, when the email and password are correct, we are now sending the user to a different route called dashboard instead of just showing a success message. This means that after a successful login, the browser automatically navigates to a new page without the user needing to click anything. To make this work, we also create a new route called dashboard that returns a simple welcome message as an HTML page. Think of this as a very basic version of a real user dashboard that you would see after logging into an application. So let's run everything again and watch how this behaves. First, I'll enter a wrong password and press login. And just like before, the application tells me that my credentials are invalid. Now I'll try again with the correct email and password, and this time, instead of seeing a plain success message, I am automatically redirected to the dashboard page where I see a welcome message. And just like that, we have implemented a real login flow with a redirect, step by step, together. Now let's talk briefly about query parameters in a web application. These are pieces of information that we can pass to the server directly through the URL, allowing us to send data without a form or a request body. In this example, we are creating a new route called hello that can receive a name from the browser. Inside this route, we access the incoming request and try to read a value called name from the query string of the URL. If no name is provided, the server politely asks the user to add one by showing an example. But if a name does exist, the application dynamically creates a personalized welcome message using that value. This shows how we can make our web application respond differently based on user input, which is a very powerful concept in web development. So let's run this and see it in action. First, I'll send a request to the server with name equals Sarah in the URL. And as you can see, the welcome message is customized just for her. Now let's try again, this time with name equals Schofield. And once again, the response changes accordingly. This means our application is successfully reading data from the URL and using it to generate dynamic content in real time. Now let's look at another very important and very clean way of sending data to our server using what we call route parameters. Instead of passing information through a question mark in the URL, we are now embedding the value directly inside the route itself. In this example, we define a route that has a dynamic placeholder for a name, which means whatever the user types in that part of the URL will automatically be captured by our application. ASP.NET takes that value and gives it to us as a parameter inside our code, so we can use it right away without any extra parsing. Then, we simply create a personalized welcome message using that name and send it back to the browser. This approach is very common in real-world web applications because it makes URLs cleaner, more readable, and more meaningful. So let's run this and see how it works in practice. First, I'll go to the route with Schofield in the URL, and you can see that the server responds with a personalized message just for him. Now let's try the same thing with Sarah, and once again, the message changes accordingly. This shows clearly how route parameters allow us to build dynamic and personalized web experiences in a very elegant way. Now let's build something a little more dynamic. Instead of returning a single message, we're going to generate a small user list and display it as HTML in the browser. So what we're doing here is defining a new route called users. When someone visits this route, our application creates a small collection of names inside an array. Think of this as a tiny in-memory database for now. Then we start building an HTML string step by step. First, we add a title and open an unordered list. After that, we loop through each user in the array and dynamically add a list item for every single name. Finally, we close the list and return the entire HTML content back to the browser. What's important here is that we are generating HTML programmatically using C#. This means the server is constructing the page before sending it to the client. That's a powerful concept because in real applications, this data could come from a database instead of a simple array. Alright, let's run the application and see what happens. When we navigate to the users row in the browser, we now see a nicely formatted list of usernames displayed as bullet points. Even though it's simple, this is dynamic content generated on the server side, and that's exactly how most web applications work behind the scenes. Let's move on to the next example and level things up even more. Now we're taking another step forward and building something interactive. Instead of just displaying data, we're allowing the user to actually add new data into our application. At the top, we define a list of strings that will hold our users. For now, this list lives in memory, which means every time the application restarts, it resets. But that's perfectly fine for learning purposes. Then we create a helper method called renderPage. This method is responsible for generating the entire HTML page. Inside it, we build a simple form where the user can type a name and submit it. Below the form, we generate a user list dynamically. We loop through every name stored in our users list and add each one as a list item in the HTML. So every time this method runs, it rebuilds the page from scratch using the current data. Next, we define a get route for the home page. When someone visits the page, we simply call our renderPage method and send the generated HTML back to the browser. That's how the page is initially displayed. Then comes the important part, the post route. When the form is submitted, the name entered by the user is captured from the form data. We check if it's not empty or just whitespace, and if it's valid, we add it to our users list. After adding the name, instead of redirecting, we simply regenerate the page again by calling the same renderPage method. This way, the updated user list immediately appears on the screen. Alright, let's run the application and see what happens. When the page opens, you'll see a simple form and an empty user list. Now I'll type a name and click Add. Instantly, the page refreshes and the name appears in the list below. If I add another name, it shows up as well. So what we've built here is a tiny in-memory user management system with both get and post working together. Let's move on to the next example and make it even more powerful. You can check out the courses section on the channel to continue learning software development. There are many free courses available. To support us, you can join the channel and subscribe. Keep learning.